Okay. Hi, everyone. Very good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for taking this time to join this Trinity College Dublin Asia webinar session. Allow me to introduce Haikal. He is the recruitment officer overseeing Southeast Asia. Well, I have to admit, that's quite a lot of regions that he's actually looking after. But okay, Haikal, give it a go.
Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you so much to all of you that are attending the session today. I would say that this will be a presentation about the overview of what Trinity College Dublin as an institution could offer in the region. So yeah, any questions like what Tim has said, you can always ask in the chat box and after the presentation. So without further ado, I'm just gonna start with our notable alumni, which you can see that have contributed a lot in the world of science, the world of literature, and also the world of entertainment. So before we go into the city and what Trinity is all about, I would like to share a short video just to showcase on what international students could experience once they are in Ireland. All right, so I guess that's just like a short demonstration for what you can share with your students. And just to showcase a little bit of like the way to commute to Dublin, usually from students from this region, we would have like two main routes that we usually advise students. The first one would be a direct flight to London and doing connecting flight to Dublin, or the other route that is recommended would be doing a flight to Middle East or Europe and doing a connecting flight to Dublin. I would say like the estimation for a journey will be similar going to the UK, around 13 to 14 hours. And these are some of the famous location which you guys can identify in popular movies. And as you can see, they were all shot in Ireland and also shot in Trinity, which is like our library. All right. Here are some key facts on why Ireland is a good destination for international students. The first one is a friendly, safe environment with the population only around 5.2 million. So they're not that big, which is why they're very encouraging for international students to stay back. And up until now, due to Brexit, Ireland is the only English-speaking country left in EU. It does have a long tradition in education excellence, with global companies being established there, providing a huge range of career opportunities for international students. It uses the currency euro, and it does provide a post-study work visa, which I will explain further at a later slide. I did mention about Ireland being, a lot of global leading companies being established there. And as you can see from here, Ireland is also known as a multinational hub, which, as you can see, there are a range of industries being established there, like, top 10 of the ICT industries, gaming, pharmaceutical, medical devices, together with 50% of the financial services firms. They are all established in Ireland. All right. So from the country, we will narrow it down to the capital because this is where our university is located at. So why Dublin? Dublin is pretty much like a young, friendly European capital. It's not as metropolitan, so it doesn't have high-rising buildings like in Paris, London, or Berlin. So you don't necessarily feel like it's as overwhelming for students. It's one of the safest cities in the world and one of the best student cities in the world. This is due to the reason that besides Trinity, there's also other institutions in Dublin like UCD, DCU, Griffith College, and it makes it like a university city. So people there are much more educated and open-minded and embracing diversity. And due to further expand as Ireland being a multinational hub, Dublin as a city is also known as a global tech hub with a new nickname of the New Silicon Valley of Europe. A lot of tech industries are being established in Dublin itself. And because Dublin has produced a lot of famous poets and writers, which is why it's also known as UNESCO City of Literature. It's not really that big, so actually students can navigate across the city center and university campus by just walking. But it's also accessibility to public transportation like the tram and also the bus. It's a gateway to continental Europe and it's very rich with museums, theater, art, music, and festival. Okay, so here's another short video just to showcase what our alumni have achieved in their respective field.
Inspiration has lived here since 1592, and more than 400 years later, it's still going strong. Inspiration has helped burgeoning writers put pen to paper and given world leaders a head start. It has set the stage for budding playwrights and created characters that will never die. For countless actors who started here, inspiration has played a part. Work done in Trinity helped split the atom, battled cancer, and guided man's first giant leap. From here, we've inspired people around the world. But even with this proud history, we are firmly focused on the future. Today, we are making new discoveries and inspiring the next generation of history makers.
Usually we're hoping to for you guys to share it with your students because hoping that it will inspire them. Okay, so these are some of the key facts about Trinity at a glance. It was founded in 1592, making us the oldest university in Ireland. So, okay, so on this slide, it's still showcasing the QS World Ranking 2025, where we are at number 87th. But as you are well aware, the QS World Ranking for 2026 is already out recently, and we have achieved the highest position that we have ever achieved in a decade. So we are currently at number 75 for QS World Ranking 2026, still making us the only Irish university in top 100 universities in the world. And up until now, we are still the number one university in Ireland. We are one of the most international universities in the world, where we have like a huge community when it comes to different diverse background. Um, we, as an academic, we are a member of the prestigious LERU, which is a society giving us the accreditation for student academic and research excellence. And we have tons of industrial partners for our students to get career opportunities after completing their studies with Trinity. So as earlier, the over 600 plus options when it comes to our courses. So as you can see in Trinity, we categorize our programs into three main faculties. The first one will be Faculty of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. The second one will be Faculty of Health Sciences, and the third one will be Faculty of STEM subjects. So these are the range of the programs that we have in Trinity. And in terms for the structure of the programs that we have, this is will be the level that we could offer as an institution. So we have our 1 year foundation program. So this is usually for students that are coming from local high school qualification in the region, um, except for certain countries. So at this point of time, our foundation is definitely necessary for qualification that are coming from Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Myanmar, and Philippines. Those are the countries where the local high school qualification will require to do our 1 year foundation program. So our foundation is an internal foundation, and it's usually for students that are coming from a non-recognized high school. And it's also just to showcase that for IGCSE Year 11 is also open for our 1 year foundation program. And due to the fact that we also have a pathway for medicine and dentistry, we we need students, if they are coming from the IGCSE level, they need to have at least AS, but they cannot complete the A2 level though. So if they have completed the A levels, they are no longer eligible to apply for our foundation program. So another thing for agents to know, our foundation is not necessarily like an alternative route for students that did not meet our direct entry requirements. So let's say if a student did not get the required grades for A levels, they cannot apply to our foundation program as an alternative route. So that's pretty much like the rules when it comes to our foundation program. And we have two pathways, as you can see, pathway A and pathway B. Pathway A will focus more on the social science degrees like business, arts and humanities program, while pathway B will focus more on the STEM subjects, engineering, computer science, biomedical science, pharmacy, medicine, and also dentistry. So it's also a 12 months program, and it only has one intake, which is September every year. Now moving on to our bachelor's degree. So for undergraduate, we are looking at a 4 years bachelor's program in Trinity, where students will have the options to do a single honors or do a joint honors. So they can do a double major, major minor in Trinity by combining subjects from the three main faculties. We also have our 5 year integrated professional programs, and this will be like including like a master's integrated. And programs are usually focused on our STEM subjects such as computer science, engineering, medicine, and pharmacy. We have our 1 year top postgraduate programs, and this will be similar to the UK 1 year masters. And we have our 2 to 4 year research degrees, and this could be either postgraduate research or a PhD. So just to introduce that this will be our recent collaboration, we have our dual BA program for our undergraduate pathway, where this will be more like a double degree. And students will have the opportunity to do 2 years in Trinity and 2 years in Columbia. And by the time they finish all 4 years, they will graduate with two separate degree certificates from each university. So this is definitely going to be for students who are aiming for the stars, where they're not only going to graduate from the number one university in Ireland, but also an Ivy League university from the States. And just to demonstrate a little bit how this works, so the subject in the blue column here will be the subjects that they will be doing in Trinity. So let's take mathematics, for example. So this will be done the first 2 years in Trinity, and third year onwards, they can start choosing the specialization accordingly. Like they can either progress to go to do economics or even computer science. So yeah. Just like any other universities, we have tons of connection with other universities abroad. So we have programs, student exchange, and also internships where students can be stationed in any of our partner universities across the world. And this will be universities in other parts of Europe, Asia, Middle East, and also North America. Okay, so these are some of the college in terms for like what will be we offer in Trinity on campus. And just like any other universities, we have tons of student societies, sports clubs, and publications for students to join. For students who are interested in business, we have a dedicated space for entrepreneurship and innovation activities. And on campus itself, we have theaters, galleries, museums, and art, health equipment activity facilities. So there are tons of things for you students to do on campus itself. Speaking of accommodation, we have on-campus options, and as you can see, these are the options that we have that are associated with Trinity. But the situation in Dublin when it comes to accommodation, it's definitely a discussion, but we always try our best to make sure that our students can get a place to secure every year. And for our on-campus accommodation, international students will be prioritized for their first year. And if they still want to continue to stay on campus for the following years, they can still reapply back to stay on campus. But a lot of like when it comes to postgraduate, they usually prefer to stay off campus. That could be something that we could advise as well. And for any newcomers that are coming to our campus, we have an international student engagement team. And this is usually for the place to go to if students have any queries in terms for immigration, visa, accommodation, and insurance advice. We have an airport pickup service where our student can request and check on our schedule, a fixed schedule that will be reflected on our university website. And I guess students can also arrange their schedule of flying to Dublin based on the airport pickup service. And something that I want to highlight here would be our Unibuddy platform. So this would be pretty much like a chat room where any new students can speak to our current students just to get insight on, the expectation of the university lifestyle, and together will be about the expectation on the programs. These are some of the support that we have on campus. Then there are three things I want to highlight here would be support for students who are differently able. We also have a day nursery for postgraduate students. And also we have our counseling support, not only in academic, but also mental health. Okay. Because in Trinity, most of our programs we incorporate like an internship option, which is why we also have a career development center. So this will be the team that will support our students in terms for preparing their CV and also preparing them for interviews. Because like I said, like the internship option, so we want to prepare our students to be fully equipped with the necessary knowledge. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about the benefit about studying in Ireland. So by holding an IRP, the Irish Residence Permit, students are eligible to work part-time for 20 hours per week and 40 hours during winter and summer break. And for the post-study work visa, so for any international students that have completed an undergraduate degree, they will get 1 year post-study work visa to stay back in Ireland. And if they have completed a postgraduate program, be that like a postgraduate or even PhD, they will be guaranteed to get 2 years post-study work visa to stay back in Ireland to search for a job. And 95% of our Trinity graduates are either in employment or further study within 6 months. And according to study by the Irish Times, Trinity grads earn 30% more than other Irish grads within 5 years. Okay, so here's a little bit of an illustration on why Dublin is known as the new Silicon Valley of Europe. So this would be the location of our institution. In the heart of Dublin City Centre, there's our campuses, different buildings for different faculties. And this is all the tech industry around our area that is also affiliated to our university. So as you can see, we always want to make sure that our students can get a job with any of the big names, as you can see on this slide. Now moving on to our entry requirements for all of our programs. So this will be more like a general entry requirement. And when it comes to undergraduate, it's going to be more subject specific, which I will share the guideline accordingly so you can see can advise your students accordingly. And as you can see, instance for foundation, these are all more general, and these are some of the general English requirements that we can accept. So besides IELTS, we can accept TOEFL, Pearson English tests, and also Duolingo. And for most of our postgraduate programs, we typically accept a bachelor's degree with honors, uh, usually the classification of a second upper when it comes to the final grading for bachelor's degree. So when it comes to GPA, we're looking at a minimum of 3.2 out of 4 equivalent as well. And although 3.2 is the minimum, but I always advise students to aim higher for more competitive programs like the School of Business or like computer science. We also have our pre-sessional English, and this usually take place in from May onwards. And but of course, the preferred route would be just fulfilling the English language requirement to begin with. But right now, just to showcase that we also have a pre-sessional English. But for this year, it's already over. And for the timeline for Trinity, we have only one intake every year, which is September. And usually for, because let's just aim for September 2026 as an example. So if you have a student that is interested to apply for September 2026, our application will open by November this year. And for most undergraduate programs, our deadline will be on 30th of June. And for most of our postgraduate programs, that will be like 31st of July. But more competitive programs, they have like some of like earlier deadline and earlier deadline. So like, you can always double check with us. Yeah, I see someone like raise their hand. Is there a question?
If you have a question, guys, please feel free to drop down in the question box below.
Okay.
I think it may be more on the I think it could maybe mainly on the entry requirement later on, which I also have some questions.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So just to continue, in terms for application, agents have just to create an account on behalf of the student's email to apply directly on our university website. And okay, so like there's an application fee of 55 euros, which is unwaivable at the moment, and that will be for undergraduate and postgraduate, pretty much like for all programs. But now we also have an agent portal for our foundation program. So at least there's no application fee there. And foundation will also open by, is it October, November? Probably November as well. But I would definitely let you know once it's open for the following intake, at least an agent portal for agents. And for medicine dentistry, they will need to apply through IUMC. So there's always that kind of referral commission in terms of any students that you will be supporting for medicine dentistry. But this kind of arrangement needs to be done with IUMC directly. So that could be a different conversation. So now moving on to our overview of our fees. Typically, our foundation pathway A will be around like 17,000 euros, and for pathway B will be around 18,000 euros for 1 year. Undergraduate, we are looking from the range from 20 to 28,000 euros, where 28,000 would be more like STEM subjects like engineering or computer science. Medicine dentistry will be around 48,000 euros per annum. And for postgraduate, we're looking at 13 to 20, actually around 28,000 euros as well now, in terms for the fees per year. So here's a little bit of like a breakdown for the cost of living in Dublin. I'll give a range from 17 to 19,000 euros for 1 year. and that is already inclusive, both accommodation and living expenses for 1 year. And these are some of the scholarships that we offer from Trinity. We offer like bursary that will be applied separately, and students will only be eligible to apply for all the scholarships once they are an offer holder. So the aim here is to become an offer, to get an offer as soon as possible to apply for the scholarship. And here's some useful contacts for our programs to follow up, but I guess you can also just pretty much like generally speaking, reach out to me for any urgent situation. So right, thank you so much for listening. Now the floor is yours.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Haikal. I think we have got some questions, but I'm just quite curious actually about mainly about your international foundation program because
Mhm.
as you did mention that mainly it's for let's say for unrecognized high school qualification, like because we have been getting also students, let's say from Thailand, they have Matayam 6, and then Laos is the Laos high school, and then Myanmar is the Myanmar matriculation. So basically the students they can progress with the international foundation before they can go for the degree, correct?
That's correct.
And that will be even including medicine.
That's correct. Yeah.
Hmm. I see, I see. Because that is, I think that's also, we do, I do know, we do understand that medicine is generally very competitive, but I think the fact that there is an pathway, even including medicine, I think that's also something that a lot of students will be interested in, actually.
Oh yeah, oh definitely, definitely that's quite a unique selling point as well for us. But at the same time, of course, I need to manage the expectation that allocation for progression for medicine for our foundation is only like 5 places from the foundation pathway. But if applied directly from like students from A levels or IB, actually our international student quota is actually one of the biggest when it comes to medicine. It's like
I
25
see.
to 30 places every year.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
there is like there is the course. So okay, so there's actually like there's hard
There's
is
some
there
yeah,
is a
there's an
catch.
allocation. There's an
That's a catch. There's a catch that
yeah,
only five quotas for the international from the international foundation side. Okay.
correct,
Noted,
correct.
noted, 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 noted. Okay. Sure. Sure, no problem. I think we do have some questions in the Q&A box as well. Is GED qualification eligible for the International Foundation Program?
GED. Wait, sorry. The question was for foundation or for direct entry?
For foundation, for the International Foundation Program.
Yeah, yeah. So they will be required to do a foundation. Yes.
Okay. And here it is. There's another one. I think I can see this agent is from Myanmar. So may I know if a 4-year bachelor degree holder from Myanmar is eligible to join the direct master's program at Trinity?
See, that's is something that we are kind of currently looking into. But what I can do is usually like, you can share with me the student's academic transcript and in terms of because we also I would try to check with the respective faculty to see whether they can, consider like, we can go on a case to case basis at this point of time. But I've also like just spoken to some agents in Myanmar like 2 weeks ago. In terms for completion of a bachelor's degree, we try to also see our peer university. If like a Russell Group University, a Group 8 university can accept, that could also make the case stronger. And if there's a precedent being established with our peer universities. But in the meantime, I can try to check that like with our faculty on a case to case basis.
See, I see. So would you say that let's say students before they officially submit the application and pay the 50 or 55 euro application,
Yeah,
you are open to let the agents students let you can check their basically it's a pre-assessment.
correct, correct. I always try to do that, but please be informed as well that there have been cases where some faculties just prefer them to just submit.
Mm,
But
okay.
for me, like, there's no harm in trying.
I
So
see.
that's why, like, if we can, like, because I also don't like the idea of just wasting the 55 euros just for the sake of trying. When
Yeah,
like there's
yeah,
always a reason on, like, if the student can demonstrate like that kind of equivalent of the GPA, that what we're looking for, even higher than that, why wouldn't we not consider that, right? So that's the part where definitely I can try to do a pre-assessment.
yeah. Because I think, let's say, example, if you did a pre-assessment and then there's a yes answer from you, especially because you're the rep from the university, then it does give the agents and also students confidence that okay, since it's a yes, then if
Yeah, so the thing is, I would say it's more like a black and white that they could consider the student as part of an application. So the outcome is still something that we can't determine, but we just also want to see a black and white that, it can be considered it's already a good thing,
mhm,
in order to proceed to the next steps.
agree, agree. Agree. Okay, great. So next question, I think is from our colleague, Prafan. Is there any, I think you already mentioned about the quota, about the medicine, 20 to 30 slots for
Mhm.
international students, but is that also the same for dental as well?
Oh,
Dental science?
dentistry is more competitive. So like every year, I would say around like 8 to 15, the range, depending on the education. But for this region, 8 to 15, which is still not bad in comparison to some UK universities. So yeah.
Okay, sure, no problem. Oh yeah, so okay, so how about students? Let's say if they join international, they are international foundation students, then if they want to head to dentistry, is the quota also five as well, same as medicine?
No, it's one.
Oh, one. Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why, like, although I mentioned that, but I'm just like, oh, I mean, like, it's good to know that there's an opportunity, but I'm just like, oh, it's not that encouraging, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's like it got the hopes up very high that yep, you can do the international foundation if you want to progress to medicine, but there's a separate quota.
Yeah, because actually, in order to be accepted to the pathway of medicine, that our dentistry, they have to go through an additional interview. So that's the part will filter even more. So
Mm,
like, although we have that, even like the assessment for medicine pathway, it's definitely very highly competitive as well.
mhm. I think she's also asking because you did mention that there's a foundation that the foundation health sciences path will all the students from the foundation health sciences pathway can enter into medicine and dentistry technically can, but the quota is very that technically there's a quota, right? Technically the quota is that one that you already mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
Y-
that's correct.
Yeah. Is there also because you did show the scholarship information, is there any automatic scholarships?
No. Yeah, no, we don't. Uh, I'll like have to apply separately.
Okay. Okay. So they have to
Yeah.
be submitted separately. Would you recommend them to submit it after the application or when the student get an offer letter?
This students can only be eligible once they are an offer holder, so they need to get an offer letter first.
Done. Okay, noted. So they need to get an
Yeah,
offer letter in their hand and then only submit the scholarship application.
correct.
Okay, great. Noted. Noted. Okay, great. Next question for do they need to, okay, for GED students, I think you did mention that we can enter into the foundation program, but for GED students, can they try to apply for direct entry into TCD for the bachelor?
Uh, No, at this point, because I've been receiving a lot of applications coming from Myanmar as well with the GED.
I
So
see.
at this point of time, our admissions team have still, like, not recognizing it for a direct entry qualification. So which is
Okay.
why they are being referred to the foundation pathway instead.
Okay, so they have to so for GED students, they have to join the International Foundation program. Is there a score requirement for the GED student? Is there a score requirement?
To be honest, I can get back to you on that.
Okay, no problem. Mhm. Okay, no worries. Okay, so I think this is something that I think this is something very I think that's okay, good questions coming. So let's say for how about let's say for international foundation students, how about nurse? Can they join? How about nursing?
Oh, right, yeah. So nursing's already open, finally, to international student. We just got that announcement like a month ago.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's gonna be for next year's intake for September 2026. Uh, there's a discussion only for a direct entry, so I'm not necessarily sure whether there's gonna be an allocation for students coming from our foundation. But that is a possibility now, given the fact that we finally opened for international students to join our nursing program. Yeah, but at this point, there's no confirmation about a nursing pathway. But direct entry, yeah.
all right, sure, no problem. I think another question, I think mainly for, how long should the minimum funds be saved consecutively in the bank to apply for a visa after Ireland student visa?
Right. So we try to see like in 6 months is the safest. The duration, just like a Canadian visa funding looking letter. The demonstration is usually like 10,000 euros now, together with the remaining tuition fees balance. So usually like we allow up to 50%, and we also have an installment payment plan for students for their fee payment. So but in the demonstration, usually we want to look like the 10,000 euros is to demonstrate the cost of living. And we also want to showcase the remaining tuition fees as well. And that's usually based on students' deposit or their prepayment before they arrived in Dublin as well. So that could be shown as inside the bank. Roughly, I would say uh, around like 18 to 19,000 euros minimum. Definitely prefer to be like higher than that. I maintain to by 6 months.
But I think the 6 months part is also very important
Yeah,
on the funds because I think sorry because as a Malaysian technically we did not need a we do not need
correct.
an Ireland visa, but I think for definitely for other nationalities they do. So
Mhm.
they definitely they do. So yeah. So let's say, but in terms of is there like a deposit amount that students have to pay to accept the offer?
Usually there's a minimum amount of 500 euros for most of postgraduate programs. But for like undergraduate, there are some that is actually around 4,000 euros, like for our medicine program, that kind of thing. So some students, they after the deposit, they also add a little bit more for the first year fees before they start deciding the installment plan that will be afterwards when they reach Dublin. So the demonstration that you have paid that those amount of fees also can be part of the funding documentation.
Okay, okay. So would you say that TCD can issue like a receipt or receipt to show that the student has officially paid uh
Yeah,
mm,
yeah.
or
So it can be
yeah.
requested like officially, and it's also something that can be reflected on each student's portal about
Ah,
this.
okay, the portal.
Yeah,
Because there's a student portal where you can show how much the student has officially paid for it,
co
officially paid.
correct.
Yeah. Because it's mainly for the Ireland visa purposes to show that the student has already paid for the entire, let's say for example, for the entire year tuition fee, and then it's a very, very good supporting evidence.
Correct. Exactly that. Yeah. Some
Okay.
students do that.
Yeah. Can students join directly to the bachelor program if they completed Myanmar grade 12? I think for Myanmar matriculation, they'll have to join the International Foundation, correct, Haikal?
That's correct.
Okay, great. And can the bachelor degree from Myanmar? I think Haikal has already answered that question on the fact that Haikal is still looking because for 4-year bachelor degrees from Myanmar, he is still looking into whether can TCD recognize for direct entry to the master's program. But let's say example, if students have done a completed a Myanmar degree and the CGPA is pretty good, then please feel free to let myself or your respective regional marketing managers to know so that I will be able to email it to Haikal. Mainly it would be good to email. Sorry, Haikal, forgive me for Aaron. Aaron, do they need a personal statement and a reference letter?
Um, yeah, wait, are you asking me?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry for
Right.
application. Do they need a personal statement and a reference letter?
Yes. For to get an offer, right?
Yeah, to get an offer mainly. Yes.
Yeah. So we for any application for even undergraduate or postgraduate, we need two recommendation letters, one personal statement and academic transcript.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So sorry about that. So I think it'll be good. Let's say if a bachelor degree holder from Myanmar, if they can get two recommendations letter, one personal statement, and also the degree transcripts.
Right. But for pre-assessment, to be honest, like you can just share the academic transcript and updated CV
Mm-hmm.
just to showcase like, like just a brief information to see like where they do they stand in this for work experience together with their bachelor's degree. Yeah.
Noted, noted, noted. Okay, that would be very, very helpful. That would be
Mhm.
very, very helpful. Yeah. So I think they also like because they definitely will want to study. There's definitely an interest. It's just the matter. It's just they wanted just the assurance that they can definitely get into TCD when they paid the non-refundable application fee.
Correct. Non-refundable is right.
Non-refundable as well. The non-refundable as well. And there's it's non-refundable and there's no waiver. That one we have to make it
Yeah,
very clear.
very clear.
Yeah, very clear. Okay, all right, no worries. I think is there any more questions? I think we might have time for one more.
Right, I'll be sharing this slide with you guys as well, together
Definitely.
with like, uh, the agent authorization form, the agent link that you guys can create for our IFP program, and those kind of things. So you can, pretty much distribute that with your respective network.
Mhm. Okay, definitely. All right.
Yeah,
I think we can officially conclude this session. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. As soon as I get the slides from Haikal, I'll share in the respective group chats. Thank you so much for your time, Haikal. This is a very good session today. Thank you so much.
no worries. Thank you so much for everybody that attended. Hope this helps. And if you need anything, you know where to find me.
Okay.
Take care.
All right. Take care. Thank you.